How did someone fail miserably at trying to outsmart you? Last month, I was finally ready to buy my first car. I'm 22 and had been saving up forever while riding the bus to college like some kind of peasant. After weeks of scrolling through car listings, I found this 2017 Honda Civic that looked perfect. The price was way lower than everything else I'd seen, which should have been a red flag. But I was broke and desperate. I showed up at this small dealership on a Tuesday afternoon. The place smelled like air freshener and broken dreams. This guy, Mitch, comes walking over immediately, all smiles and firm handshakes. He was probably in his 40s, wearing a polo shirt that was trying way too hard to look expensive. You here for the Civic? Great choice, buddy. This baby's been babied by a little old lady who only drove it to church on Sundays, he says while patting the hood like it's his pet dog. Now, I'm not a car expert, but my dad made me help him fix our family cars growing up. I know enough to spot obvious problems. I started walking around the car, checking things out. The paint looked slightly different near the front bumper, and there were these tiny scratches that didn't match the rest of the car. Has this been in any accidents? I asked. Mitch laughed way too loud. Accident? This beauty? No way, man. Clean as a whistle. Look, I've got the Carfax right here. He shoved this printed report into my hands, talking nonstop about how reliable Hondas are and how I'd be crazy not to buy it today. Something felt off. The guy wouldn't stop talking, and every time I tried to look closer at something, he'd redirect my attention somewhere else. When I bent down to check the tires, he started telling me about the amazing sound system. When I opened the hood, he immediately started explaining the financing options. Let me just grab some paperwork from inside, Mitch said, practically jogging toward the office. The second he disappeared, I pulled out my phone and typed in the VIN number I found on the dashboard. There's this website where you can check. Car history's for free if you know where to look. My roommate had shown me this trick after he got screwed buying a car last year. The results loaded and my jaw dropped. This car had been in a major collision 8 months ago. Front-end damage, airbags deployed, the works. It was totaled and then rebuilt. The real Carfax showed everything Mitch's printed version somehow missed. I quickly took photos of the obvious repair work I could see and saved screenshots of the real accident report. Then I just waited, acting casual. Mitch came bouncing back with a clipboard full of papers. All right, buddy, let's get you driving. Off the lot today. I just need you to sign here and here. One more question, I said, trying to keep my voice normal. You're absolutely sure this car was never in an accident? His smile got even bigger. I stake my reputation on it. This car is accident-free. Guaranteed. I pulled out my phone and showed him the real Carfax report. That's weird because this says it was totaled last year. Mitch's face went completely white. He stared at my phone screen for like 10 seconds without saying anything. I could literally see his brain trying to come up with an excuse. Oh, that's probably just a system error, he stammered. You know how these online things are always glitching. A system error that shows photos of the exact damage I can see was repaired on this car. I held up my phone, showing the before pictures. That's when his manager walked over, probably wondering why Mitch looked like he'd seen a ghost. I calmly explained what happened, showing both of them the real accident report and pointing out the obvious repair work. The manager looked at Mitch, like he wanted to murder him. Is this true? Mitch started sweating and mumbling about how he must have grabbed the wrong paperwork, and these things happen. The manager apologized like crazy and offered me a huge discount on another car. I politely said no thanks and walked out. Last month, I was finally ready to buy my first car. At 22, after years of taking the bus to college, I had saved enough for something reliable. After scrolling through endless listings, I found a 2017 Honda Civic that looked perfect. The price was suspiciously low, which should have been a red flag, but I was broke and desperate. So, I went for it. I arrived at a small dealership on a Tuesday afternoon. The place smelled like air freshener and broken dreams. Mitch, probably in his 40s and wearing a polo shirt trying too hard to look expensive, greeted me with a firm handshake. "You here for the Civic?" he said with a grin. "Great choice, buddy. This baby's been babied by a little old lady who only drove it to church on Sundays." He patted the hood like it was his beloved dog. I'm not a car expert, but growing up, my dad made me help fix our family cars. I know enough to spot obvious problems. I walked around the car, inspecting. The paint near the front bumper looked different, with small scratches that didn't match the rest. "Has this been in any accidents?" I asked. Mitch laughed way too loud. "Accident? This beauty? No way, man. Clean as a whistle. Here's the Carfax." He shoved a printed report into my hands, rattling off about Honda's legendary reliability and how crazy I'd be not to. "Buy it today." Something felt off. Mitch wouldn't stop talking and kept redirecting me whenever I tried to look closer at something. When I bent to check the tires, he went on about the sound system. When I popped the hood, he launched into financing options. "I'll grab the paperwork inside," Mitch said, hurrying off. The second he disappeared, I pulled out my phone and typed the VIN from the dashboard into a free car history site my roommate had shown me after his own bad experience. The real report loaded, and my jaw dropped. This car had been in a major front-end collision just 8 months ago. Airbags deployed, totaled, and then rebuilt. None of this was on Mitch's printed Carfax. I quickly snapped photos of the visible repair work and saved screenshots of the real report. I waited calmly for Mitch to return, striking a casual tone. "All right, buddy," he said, bouncing back, with papers. "Let's get you driving today. Just sign here and here." "One more question," I said. "Are you absolutely sure this car has never been in an accident?" His smile widened. "I stake my reputation on it. This car is accident-free. Guaranteed." I showed him the real report on my phone. "That's weird," Mitch stammered as his face drained of color. "Probably just a system error. You know how online tools glitch sometimes." "A glitch showing front-end damage and airbags deployed?" I held the phone up, pointing at the pictures. At that moment, Mitch's manager appeared, eyeing Mitch like he'd seen a ghost. I calmly explained everything again, showing the manager the accident report and the visible repairs. The manager looked furious, glaring at Mitch. "Is this true?" Mitch sweated and mumbled excuses about grabbing the wrong. "Paperwork. These things happen," he said weakly. The manager apologized profusely and offered me a huge discount on another car. I politely declined and walked out. Story 2 at a family gathering to transfer the inheritance. My parents shocked me by giving the entire $250,000 to their favorite daughter and telling me to work harder. But then my grandma stood up and surprised everyone by handing me a $500,000 check. My mom shouted, "You can't do this to me!" What my grandma did next left her in complete shock. My name is Noah. I'm 35, the oldest, the background guy. I keep jumper cables in my trunk, a first aid kit under the sink, and a spreadsheet for bills. That aren't mine, but somehow end up on my card. I fix point-of-sale systems for grocery stores. At home, I fix everything else because I'm the one who answers, "Can you swing by? With what time?" My family is small and loud. Dad loves speeches. About backbone. Mom loves photos that make us look better than we feel. My sister Ava, 2 years younger, has been the favorite since she learned to wink. She has that spark. Mom says, Dad adds, "Noah, be supportive." Your sister's a star. Supportive became a job I never applied for. Grandma Ruth is the outlier. She's 84, tough as the cast iron pan she refuses to throw away, and the only one who ever asked me how I'm sleeping. I've been the one who takes her to appointments and fixes the leaky sink and labels her pill box by day instead of by meal, because she remembers numbers better than words. We still do weekly dinners in the house I grew up in. I bring dessert because it's easy to carry and hard to fight over. On the Sunday before everything broke, Mom texted, "Wear a collared shirt. We have a special guest." Dad added, "It's a family moment. Be gracious." No winky face. Just that word. Gracious. I wore a clean shirt. I parked where the street dips toward the curb. The living room smelled like lemon polish and too much candle. There were extra chairs, a neat stack of paper on the coffee table, and a man I'd never met. Grey suit, smooth face, a leather folder he held like a passport to a better world. Mom had on pearls at 4 p.m. Dad had the smile he uses for fundraising. Ava swirled in late with sunglasses in her hair, and a laugh that made the room tilt toward her. Finally, Mom said, "Everyone sit." No one said why we needed a stranger. No. One said why there were envelopes with our names. Dad opened his arms like a game show host. "This is a new chapter for our family." Grandma sat at the far end of the couch, hands folded over her cane, eyes on me like a lighthouse. I sat where the extra chair was because I was raised to fit myself into gaps and call it kindness. While the eye-eyed man in the suite arranged papers, Mom leaned toward me and whispered behind her smile, "Please don't make this difficult, Noah." "Make what difficult?" I asked. Her teeth stayed on display. "For once," she murmured. "Let Ava have her moment without a lecture about fairness." "You know how you get." I blinked. "I don't get any particular way. I ask what things cost. I ask who's paying." That's my bad habit in a family that treats numbers like polite fiction. Ava kissed Grandma's cheek and plopped into the place dead center as always. "Everyone ready?" she sang. "I'm ready. I wasn't." I didn't know for what, but I knew they, feeling in my ribs, the one that shows up before the bill, and it was already there. Tapping politely, like a waiter with a check I didn't order. The man in the suit cleared his throat. "Thank you for having me. I'm here to facilitate a transfer." Dad nodded like a conductor. The trigger wasn't the word transfer. It was the way Mom, still smiling for the invisible camera, slid her hand over Avis and patted it twice, then cut her eyes at me and whispered, "Be smart about this. Don't embarrass us." If you want to understand why that whisper landed like a hand on the back of my neck, you have to understand the decades that made it feel normal. Ava's the golden one. She has talent. Yes, she also has a talent for arriving late and being forgiven, because her late is charming. When we were kids, I had chores with clear times. She had chores with optional vibes. I mowed the lawn at 300 p.m. Sharp. She helped by bringing lemonade at 3:40 and taking a selfie with the mower. Mom posted it. Teamwork. Money came with the same lens. When I was 19, I paid my own tuition by stocking shelves overnight and fixing printers daylight. Dad called it character building. When Ava was 19, she took a semester to breathe. The breathing semester had a leased car. She needs safe transportation. Mom said payments were a family effort, which meant my card saw charges that weren't mine. And when I asked why, I got, "We'll settle up later." Like later was a place we could drive to with enough gas. The humiliations were small and precise. When I got my first apartment, I bought a used couch and told myself it was fine. When Ava got hers, Mom staged it like a magazine shoot and sent me a list of little things we could pitch in for. "It would mean a lot," she wrote. The list was 23 items. I bought 4 because I am not made of stone. I set them up while Ava and her friends did a champagne toast. She forgot to say thank you until Mom prompted her. "You're such a rock, Noah," she said, "like a paperweight, not a person." Grandma noticed. She'd take my hand after a dinner and say, "Your father likes a story where he's noble." She'd pat my knuckles. That's not the same as being fair. She slipped me gas money in 20s and called it laundry quarters, so Mom wouldn't start a speech about pride, a pattern. When things went wrong for Ava, we were told she was special and needed support. When things went right for me, we were told I was practical and didn't need anything. Those two myths built a bridge where I was the beam you don't see, and she was the ribbon you cut. I don't want this to sound bitter without receipts. So here are some. At 24, Ava asked me to co-sign a lease because she had a Reddit W-worthy landlord. I said no. Mom called me at 11:13 p.m., crying. "You're abandoning your sister." I said I can't risk my credit. She sent me 3 paragraphs about family. I gave in. 6 months later, the landlord sent me a notice for 2 late payments. Ava said, "He's exaggerating. I paid to avoid the hit to my score." She called me a hero in a story that made me the idiot. At 26, Mom borrowed my credit card just for the airline hold. A week later, I saw 2 upgrades tagged to the family profile Leo. It's always a Leo in someone else's story, but mine was actually a cousin, had set up under my name. I paid it because it was easier than fighting. Easier becomes expensive when it repeats. At 28, Dad asked me to float the deductible after a tree fell on the shed. "We'll pay you back in days," he said. Days became months. Months became a joke. "Charge interest, banker." I never did. I did start using a notebook where I wrote dates and amounts so I could tell myself it wasn't all in my head. I have entries, like 320. Ava's emergency vet, no payback, 480. Mom's deposit that isn't really a deposit, $1,500. Dad's bridge loan that became a story about my good heart instead of a repayment plan. Then came the year I became Grandma's default person. Not a burden. I chose it. It was hours in waiting rooms, pharmacy runs, showing up when the alarm on the medical alert bracelet went off because she hit the wrong button trying to turn on the lamp. I was happy to be useful, but the math is simple. Time given has a cost. I used my PTO on Tuesdays for her appointments and worked Saturdays to catch up. Mom called me beautiful the way some people call salad brave. While I did that, Dad and Mom built a narrative. We are sorting the future. They said it at birthdays and in kitchens, and once at 6:07 a.m. in a text Dad thought went only to Mom but went to the group. "We'll have to be careful with the boy. He'll make it weird if he feels slighted." The boy was me. The weird was asking questions. The future became reality the month Dad turned 62. There were meetings with our guy. No one used the word lawyer. It sounded too cold. Our guy had a first name you could put on a barbecue invitation. I wasn't invited to those meetings, I was told. "It's just logistics. You'll sign a few things." "It's cleaner this way," I asked. "Cleaner for who?" Mom laughed like I told a joke. 2 weeks before the family moment, Mom sent an email marked important. It had 3 PDFs, a consent to transfer, a non-contestation acknowledgement, and a family value statement that read like a church program. She wrote, "Sign these so we can keep the peace." Ava replied, all with 3 heart emojis. I read the PDFs twice. They mostly said, "Don't challenge anything we do." I didn't sign. I emailed back. "We can discuss this in person." Dad wrote, "Don't spoil this with formalities." That word formalities, from a man who irons his socks, made me smile and then want to throw my phone. The Friday before, Mom dropped by my apartment unannounced, just to chat and scan my bookshelves like she was looking for ammunition. She found the notebook with dollar amounts before I could slide it away. "What's this?" she asked, fanning the pages like receipts. I said, "Records," she said. "That's petty." I said, "It's accurate." She said, "Don't bring this energy Sunday." Energy. Petty gracious codes that mean don't ask for the thing you earned. Adding pressure, Dad told me about a wonderful opportunity Ava had. She's starting a business. He said it like she had a patent. He sent a deck Ava had made with Canva. It had a logo, 3 color swatches, and vague sentences like wellness but disruptive. The numbers were dreams. The last page said Family Launch Fund $25,000 in small gray text at the bottom. Founders Ava plus friends. The plus friends had names that change every month. I asked, "Who's vetting this?" Dad said, "Don't be small. Grandma never used the phrases the others did." She said, "Your mother has a talent for pushing. Your father has a talent for nodding." She stroked my wrist with a finger, like it was a cat. "You have a talent for staying." That's a good talent, but staying isn't the same as agreeing. The night before the gathering, Mom sent, "Be gracious again." Dad sent, "Don't make this difficult." Ava sent, "Saturday. I'm on my way to being. I see you." I set my phone on the counter and took my laundry out of the dryer and folded it slowly like a person not being invited to a decision about his own family. I told myself it might be fine. I told myself maybe I was wound too tight. I told myself I would show up and listen. And after, if something was wrong, I would say it calmly. That was the promise. Calm. No shouting, no breaking plates. Calm like a bank teller while the room tries to set itself on fire. Sunday came with lemon polish and extra chairs and a man in a suit and Mom's whisper, "Don't embarrass us." Which translated to the language I finally understood. Accept what we decided when you weren't in the room. The suit man introduced himself as Kyle. He said estate like it had a taste. He slid the top paper toward Dad, who did a small ceremonial tap, with his fingertips like he was blessing it. Mom folded her hands. Ava tucked her hair behind her ear and made an anticipatory gasp, a sound she's perfected. Kyle smiled at me with polite teeth. "We're here to complete a transfer of a family account totaling $250,000. Michael and Elaine. Dad and Mom have decided to gift this to Ava as part of their broader plan for legacy." There it was. No drum roll, no song, just the number on a coffee table like a weather report. I looked at Dad. All of it. My voice was steady. I was proud of that. My heart was not steady. It felt like splashing in a sink. Dad lifted his chin. "Your sister is building something. You have a steady job. You don't need a windfall to be responsible." Mom added, "We raised you to work hard." Ava is a visionary. Visionaries need a runway. Ava beamed. "This will change everything." I breathed in, out. "And me?" I asked, because sometimes you have to ask the small questions to hear the big answer. Mom didn't blink. "You'll be fine. You always are." Dad spread his hands like an illustration. "We're not shutting you out. One day the house will be well. We'll consider options." He looked at the ceiling like options live there. Kyle slid a non-contestation page toward me and tapped the signature line. "This acknowledges your awareness of today's transfer," he said, like a waiter describing the special. Grandma's cane ticked once against the floor, a tiny sound. Ava looked annoyed. The way she looks at a car alarm that keeps going after the driver disappears. I didn't pick up the pen. "Can you explain the reasoning in writing?" I asked. "Not feelings, the rationale." Mom inhaled through her nose. "Don't be clinical, Noah. This is family." Dad leaned forward. "Son, be a man about this. Work harder. Your day will come." He said it like a fable that always ends with the ant smiling at the grasshopper. There are many versions of me in this family's memory. The helpful one, the quiet one, the one who pays and laughs it off. I stayed quiet for 3 heartbeats and heard all of them argue in my head. Then I said softly, "No." Mom tilted her head. "No to what?" "No to signing away the right to ask questions," I said. "No to pretending this is fair. No to being told I don't need because I've always made do." Ava laughed. "This is so dramatic." "I'm being clear. I said not dramatic." Mom's smile cracked. "Do not ruin this." Dad's jaw set. "You will sign." Grandma pushed on the arm of the couch and stood. She's not tall, but the room rearranged around her anyway. She put one hand on her cane and the other into her cardigan pocket. "Everyone hush," she said. "No one ever says hush in my family. We say 1 sec or hold on. Hush. It's different." She took out an envelope, plain white thick. She looked at me. "Noah, come here." I went. She put the envelope in my hand. Ava rolled her eyes. "Oh my God." "Nana, are we really doing the theater?" Grandma looked at her like she was a fly. "Child, sit." I opened the envelope. A check. I read the number 3 times because the brain tries to soften the world, and sometimes it needs help. $500,000. $500,000 from Ruth E. Collins to Noah Collins. The memo line for your future, not theirs. Mom made a noise I have only heard once before, when she burned her wrist on a pan and pretended it didn't hurt. "Mother," she said, voice thin and high, "you can't do this to me." Grandma cocked her head. "I'm not doing anything to you. I'm doing something for him." Dad stood halfway, and then remembered to sit. "Ruth, this is reckless." "It's mine," she said. "I'm not dead." She turned to Kyle. "You can put down your papers if you like, dear. This is a family moment." Kyle did the chameleon thing that people who get paid to watch chaos do. He smiled and looked at the rug. Mom reached out a hand like she could. Snap, and the check would come to her. "This isn't how we agreed." Grandma shifted her cane to her other hand. "My mistake has always been thinking agreements keep people decent. They don't." She pointed the cane tip gently toward me. "Noah has been decent without an agreement for 33 years. Ava sputtered. "He didn't even sign the consent PDFs. He's being stubborn on purpose." "Yes," I said. "On purpose." Dad tried a new tactic. "Fine," he said. "If Mother wants to gift you something, we'll simply adjust the transfer. Kyle, divide the 250. Kyle coughed. "I can't advise on that, Michael." Grandma laughed. "Once?" "That's the other thing," she said. "I had a meeting with a different Kyle last week." She patted her cardigan pocket again and took out another envelope. Manila. This time she handed it to me. "This is the trust. It's already funded. The house is in it. So is the annuity. I named you trustee." Mom's voice went small. "Trustee. Yes." Grandma said, "I have read enough to know that if I don't put guardrails, your mother will sell the porch railing for improvements and then ask Noah to paint. The new one with his own paint." She looked at me. "This means they cannot borrow against what keeps me safe. You will pay the home health aid from this. You will pay the taxes from this. You will not pay your sister's ideas from this." Ava stood. "You're cutting me out. This is unfair." Grandma squinted at her. "Abuse is making a boy a wallet and calling it devotion." She tapped the manila folder. "Also, power of attorney, medical and financial, now sits with the person who shows up when I fall, not the one who films the fall to post a cautionary story." Mom's face went pink. "You're humiliating me in my own living room." Grandma raised the cane 1 inch, not as a threat, as a metronome. "Another thing," she said, "Noah, you will take this check to the bank today. You will open an account with only your name on it. You will not let your mother help you manage. You will hire a CPA who does not attend our church potlucks. You will write down a plan, and you will not tell anyone the numbers." I swallowed. "Yes, ma'am." Mom turned her fury to me. "You see what you're doing? You are breaking this family. You owe us respect." I looked at her, and then at Dad, and then at Ava. I felt my shoulders drop by a centimeter. "I owe you honesty," I said. "So here it is. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure." Dad snorted. "Closure? Dramatic?" "No," I said. "Practical." Ava jabbed a finger toward the check. "You can't take that without giving me half." "That's fair." Grandma smiled without revealing teeth. "Fair is no longer defined by your appetite." She faced me again. "Child, speak your boundaries out loud, so there is no confusion." I nodded. My voice surprised me by not shaking. "I won't sign anything today," I said. "I won't co-sign loans or leases. I won't fund Ava's business. I won't be the contact for bills that aren't mine. If anyone uses my name, my card, or my credit without permission, I'll file disputes and reports. If anyone raises their voice at me over money, I'll end the conversation." Mom hissed, "You're so cold." "I'm warned to the people who treat me like a person," I said. Kyle cleared his throat in a careful way. "Perhaps we should adjourn." Grandma nodded. "We are adjourned." She took my elbow. "Come drive me to the bank." "I don't trust ride shares for this." Ava stepped in front of us. "You can't just..." She reached for the check. Grandma planted the cane and lifted her chin. "Touch it, and I will put you in a timeout, at 84 years old. She looked at me. Let's go. We went behind us. Mom said my name like a curse, and Dad said, Ruth, this is uncalled for. And Kyle said something about rescheduling, and the lemon candelier felt like it forgot what sin it was supposed to be. On the front step, Grandma paused. One more thing, she said. When your mother calls you 20 times today, don't answer. How many times do I get to answer? I asked because humor is my last defense. 0, she said. For 48 hours. She smiled. I laughed. It came out like a hiccup. We went to the bank with the check tucked into a book, like nobody would look twice. By sunset, I had 36 missed calls and 1 screaming voicemail. Mom, breathless. Bring that money back. Apologize to your sister. Don't. Involve Ruth in this. You can't do this to me. I saved it to remember the volume. Grandma and I opened a single owner account with a manager who looked younger than my toaster. Online access tomorrow. Today, I want paper. I left with a heavy little receipt. Put it in the safe. Ate leftovers. Told no one. Dad's board meeting voice. You're being manipulated. Ava, enjoy stealing. Karma then. Venmo 50K. Fine. 25K. 10K. And I'll stop telling people you bullied Nana. 3 snake emojis. I didn't answer. I watched the ceiling fan and practiced holding a boundary. At 10:12 p.m., Grandma called my landline. Did you do it? I did. Good. Your mother will come with pastries and a story. Don't open the door. Eat breakfast first. Morning rang. 2 knocks at 8:07. Mom with a bag and a hostage negotiator smile. I didn't open. Landline rang. Cell buzzed. I ate oatmeal. At 8:22, she slid 6 pages under the door. My family value statement covered in red edits. Please, Noah. Love, Mom. I filed it in the closet. Guilt limbo, not trash. 9:15, AO went public. Crying eye. When your own family steals your future. Comment spun. I shut my phone and fixed a neighbor's router for free. Lunch with Grandma's lawyer. My different Kyle. We'll register the trust. CC to you. Forward everything they send. No replies. What about Thanksgiving? We don't do law at Thanksgiving. We eat pie. If they bring papers, they're kindling. Afternoon. Dad tried soft. Your mother didn't mean to snap. She did. She will again. Families are fluid. Budgets aren't. Neither are legal transfers at Sunday dinner. Missed calls hit 48. I muted the thread. The quiet held me up like water. 2 days later. Let's be adults. Mediation from Dad. This broke my heart from Mom. You'll regret this from Ava. I sent 1 line. Do not use my name or credit. Do not post about me. Do not show up. Send requests. To my attorney. Grandma brought a small suitcase for your coffee. We got her a phone plan in her name. The sales kid said, young lady. She said, accountable. Nights got calmer. I woke at 2:11, checked nothing, slept again. I paid off my car and a dental bill. A CPA said boring things, laddered CDs, tax loss harvesting, and I felt grateful for boring. Friday, Mom left a low, dangerous voicemail. I carried you. I made you. You owe me. Don't let paper make you cruel. I deleted it and wrote debts. I acknowledge rent, loans, cards, debts. I don't birthing feelings image. Sunday, no dinner. I made soup. Texted Grandma a photo. Needs salt, she replied. I added, salt, 8, it was good.